This is number 2 in a series of 3 probably videos I'll be doing on the Little Ripper that I just got. Yesterday I installed the track. I showed the initial setup for that. It's a little time consuming. It takes about half an hour. It did for me to set it up, but once it's set up as it showed at the end, right at the end of that video, it slips on and off in seconds. So that takes care of that part. Now we're going to get into trying it for sawing logs. Couple of things before we even fire things up here is this bandsaw blade. It's I should be demonstrating with a new blade for something like this for sure. But seeing as I don't have a new blade right now, I have a couple on order. They're in transit, but they're not here. So I'm using it's a tough tooth blade. They're a pretty good blade. I always thought they were a good blade until I discovered the hardback carbon blades from where are they from? Sawblades.com. Yeah, that's the best blade I've ever used, and I've tried a lot of expensive blades over the years, and the hardback ones are definitely the best for resawing that I've ever found, and they cost about half of the price, or less than half the price of what's on here now. Anyway, that's enough about blades. I'm going to be doing this with a blade that isn't in the best of shape. Here's a Little Ripper. It's well, I have my track and everything all installed. It just sits in there like that. And there it is for people that want to have a little more better view of what it is on the underside and all that type of stuff. I don't know what this material is, but it's kind of that. I don't know. I don't know the name of that stuff, but it's similar to that stuff that they use for cool blocks. And so it's slippery, yet it's tough and hard. I think that's going to work really good. I think that'll keep its shape and everything, because it has to run in that track. There's absolutely no play in that track. It's just nice and solid in there. So that let's see here. What? Oh yeah. For sawing it goes this way, of course. It just slides like that, and it slides back and forth. And for loading a log into it, we do it from this side. Now, actually, just to give me an idea how it's going to work, I did saw one log up. It was a 6-inch log, and what I got out of that, by the time I cut the bark off, there we go. By the time I cut the bark off, there's the bark side. I got 1, 2, all nice, perfectly 1 inch. 1 inch right on. And it worked really well, except the deficiency of my dull. It's not a real dull blade, but it's not like a new one. So, oh yeah, and another thing, this Little Ripper, I got the extension that goes on here, and it's quite simple to install, and a couple of long rods, and a few nuts and bolts, and apart from that, this comes pretty well all assembled. Okay, now we're going over that. Okay, another thing I want to talk about is, by trying it out first, on the very first log I've ever tried on it, I've discovered that I don't think this setup is going to be good for big logs. Yes, if it was an 18-inch bandsaw, and this is all capable of installing on an 18-inch bandsaw, sure, you could put your big 12-inch logs on there. But I'm thinking about 6-7-inch would be about the maximum you want to load onto this. Where I want it for the extra height is when we'll be on the next video. I make what we call dizzy bowls, and I use blanks like this. There's one. Set that aside. There's another. Okay. Now what I want to do with these is it's very thin slices, like 3/16 inch slices, and a whole bunch of them, or veneers. Well, in my next video after this one, I'll be making up a jig that I can saw these in thin slices, and that's where I'm really going to get a lot of use out of this, I'm sure. So anyways, just that little bit of an explanation, and let's go ahead, throw a log on here. I've got a 7-inch log. No, another thing too. Yesterday, no, actually it was last night when I cut that first log into 6. It was a 6-inch log, and I got 4 boards out of it because 1 inch was the rounded bark side off of each side, so that worked out pretty good. I've got a 7-inch log, and I think that's about the maximum that I would want to put on here. So in the future, I do have some big logs. I got some 11, 12-inch logs. I think what I'll do is just run them manually through the bandsaw, and either use them in halves or even in quarters, and I'll still get a nice 4 or 5 inch boards out of them. With the type of work I do, 4 or 5 inch boards is fine. And if I want out of a 5-inch one, if I want a 10-inch one, it's all the same wood. It can be jointed and glued together and hardly know it's there. So that's the way I'm thinking about this right now. Another thing is when I was trying to get the exact inch on those 4 I just showed, I was measuring them. This time I've put a mark at 1 inch from the back of the blade on the table. And what I'm going to do this time, as an experiment, is I'm going to put a little piece of wood on there as a stop with double-sided tape. I won't put it on right now because this is an experiment. So I thought if I put it on right now, it might be in the way of cutting the bark, the first bark piece off. So after I get the bark piece off, I'm going to put that little block on there with double-sided tape, and that'll give me my 1 inch, and we'll see if that works, and that'll be a temporary thing. Eventually I'll try and rig up something that will be more adjustable and maybe a little more accurate. So that's enough yakking for now. Let's throw a log on this thing, and when I fire up the saw and the dust and the shop vac, well, you won't be able to hear me at all. It'll be noisy, so we just won't try and talk through that at all. Another thing I found is that this is it's an awesome saw. It's a Grizzly 14-inch saw, but the dust collection with a shop vac is the pits. I rigged up a two-way thing that I thought would collect it from the front and back, but I took that all off. It didn't work because actually it was just cutting my vacuum in half on each one. So they put a port on the bottom back of these saws, and that's all that I can draw from. So you probably see sawdust flying around. I won't have a dust mask on because I can't talk with that thing on, but I usually do. Actually, this is green wood, so the type of dust that we're cutting, or the type of dust that will be airborne, is it's not that dry dust that is the most harmful to your lungs. So, with all that said, let's put a log on this and we'll make some cuts, and I'm hoping I think I'll be out of the way of the camera. Okay, here we go. I got one here. Let's see, we go, first I gotta, that's a pretty heavy log. And yeah, it's pretty heavy, and that's why I say I don't think this is suitable for big logs on a small saw. I'm gonna get this up a little higher. Let's try it right about there. What I'm trying to do is line this up straight as I can there, so that when I slice that first piece off, I'll be fairly straight with the log. Now, those teeth do dig in. They dig in nice. That should hold really strong. Now what we do, we simply lift this up and put it in there. Okay, I got a great big knot type thing here. You can't see it very good, but it's there. Let's move this back. And first thing I'm going to do is slice that off. Okay, we'll lock that in place so it doesn't move. Like that. I think we're good to go, guys. Let's give it a try. This needs to be in there really good and strong. Those teeth dig in. Okay, lots of noise coming. Nice wood. This is cherry wood. It's hard. This is not your regular down south big cherry trees. This is orchard cherry, and it's not the best wood to work with, but it's got some beautiful patterns in it. Now, you might have seen me lifting that just a little bit. What happened was I've got underneath here. There's a little wee knot, and it was grabbing on the edge of here. So I would like to remove that if I can. Let's see if I can. Because I don't want I'm not sure if I can do that. You know what I think I'll do? Look, I see, this is an experimental video, so I don't have something like that, which I would watch for the next time. I think what I'm going to do with this guy is flip him over and have that flat side on the bottom. That might work pretty nice, I think. Of course, we'll have to cut off another piece of bark, but that's okay. Get the guy about halfway, and up like that. Maybe in a bit here. Yes, there'll be a few things that I'll be playing around with and seeing the best way of using it. But it seems like it's going to be quite a nice rig. Oh yeah, okay, that gives me, there's no problem of any little knots or anything sticking down there. So we'll move this into, got a big old knot here. It's actually where a limb came out. Okay, right, I think that's going to do me, whoops. And then after I get this, I'm going to try putting a stop on there. Okay, let's slice this off first thing. That went well. Now what I'm going to do is, like I mentioned before, this is strictly experimental. I'm going to put a little block on there. I have it marked at 1 inch from the back side of the blade. I'm going to put this little block on there as a stop, and we'll see if that'll work until I can rig up something that'll work actually better. So we got to, oh, better release this. I hope that's not going to be in the way of bringing this back the second time. Well, we'll just see. We'll just find out. Okay, what I'm going to do now is move this ahead just to that. Oh my gosh. Oh, we're a little high. This is over the top of the block. The block's not high enough. Okay, so then what I'll do now is just use it as a guide. It's this is just rough sawing, and it's all going to be planed anyway. So there I am, right on the edge, but it's not touching. So we'll lock it down, and that should give me a perfect 1 inch slice. Yeah, I was just measuring. I was just debating whether I should to try and get one more off of there, but no, that'd be pushing it. I don't want my blade to hit the here or the under part of the carriage. But anyways, that worked pretty well. I think yeah, a little more experimenting and fooling around with this thing. I'm going to be quite happy with it. As far as sawing 1-inch boards like this, what did I get anyways? Did I just get 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I got 4. Yeah, 4 out of that was about a 6.5-inch log, I think. So that's not bad. It's really nice wood. It's beautiful wood. So I don't know if there's much more to say on this particular way of doing it. I mean, of using this jig. But like I say, accuracy is not really important for this, because it's going to be, it has to be sticker dried for a year. And where I live, it takes a year to an inch pretty well. Sometimes I get lucky and get away with the 8 or 9 months on certain woods. So I know the limitations and the capacity of it now. For big logs, just because I have 12 inches here doesn't mean that I can do big logs, because they're so heavy, and it's just it doesn't make sense that you would do that. So I think what I would do is put a felt marker right down the center of a big log, run it through with this completely off, everything off, run it through, cut it in half, and then I can lay it down and start slicing 6-inch slices off of a 12-inch log instead of 12-inch slices. You get into 12-inch ones, it's more of a tendency for them to warp while they're drying anyway, so it's actually better to keep less than that. Where I think this thing is really going to shine for me is when I'm doing these things. I'm gonna make up a jig to fit onto that little ripper, so I can do slices off of these. This is one of the main reasons I bought the little ripper. Although it's really good at ripping logs into boards, I'm looking for this type of thing that I was just having so much trouble by using a fence. It wouldn't cut accurately every time. So no use making this video any longer. I think I've gone as long as I should. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else I should say about this. I guess not. So thanks for having a look, and then when I do get a chance, I'm going to see if I can convert it for ripping veneers and thin panels up to, because of the height here. I've got 12.5 inch here that I can use. This will, I think it's to the top now. Yeah, that's 12.5 inch, but with the little ripper plus this, I'm probably limited to about 11 inch. That's more than I ever need anyways. So too bad I didn't have a new sharp blade to demonstrate it, but it did pretty good. That's another thing I found out. You know, it's just a one time there. You could hear the motor labor because I was pushing too hard. I was moving those through a pretty good speed, and I'm finding that my saw seems to have a lot more power by doing it this way than I did when I was up against the fence, because after the first cut or two, when you're using a fence and you get your stresses going either out or in, well then it takes just a lot more power to do consecutive cuts through it. This way there's no restriction from either side. So that's another thing that I'm really pleased about is it does have it does give me more power on a one-horse saw. Yeah, that's just one horse on this saw, and you saw how fast that cut through. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. So yeah, that's enough yakety yak in here. We shall throw this in video onto the computer and see if it's gonna show up. Okay, thanks for looking.